My phone buzzed at exactly 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Most people would ignore a notification at that hour, but when you're a federal banking investigator for the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, you learn that financial crimes don't sleep. What I didn't expect was that this particular alert would lead me straight to my own sister's doorstep. The notification was from my credit monitoring service. New credit inquiry detected. Loan application submitted. I sat up in bed, my heart already racing. I hadn't applied for any loans. I tapped the notification with trembling fingers, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Someone had applied for a $90,000 personal loan. In my name. Using my social security number. My address. My employment information. Everything. The application had been submitted just hours ago to First National Bank, and it was already in the approval process. My name is Detective Jennifer Matthews, but everyone calls me Jen. For the past 8 years, I've been tracking down financial criminals, identity thieves, and money launderers. I've seen hundreds of cases where families destroyed each other over money. I've interviewed victims whose lives were ruined by identity theft. I've testified in federal court against criminals who thought they were untouchable. But I never, not in a million years, thought I'd be sitting in my bed at 4 a.m, staring at my own identity theft case. The investigator in me immediately kicked into action. I grabbed my laptop and started pulling up everything I could access from home. Credit reports, recent inquiries, public records searches. That's when I noticed something I'd missed before. This wasn't the first inquiry. There had been 3 other credit checks in the past 6 months. Smaller amounts. A department store card for $5,000. A car loan inquiry for $35,000. And a credit card application for $15,000. Someone had been testing the waters. Building up to this big score. This wasn't amateur hour. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. They'd started small, checking if I was monitoring my credit closely. When nothing happened, they got bolder. I cross-referenced the IP addresses from the applications with my federal database access. All applications came from the same general area. The same city where I lived. The same zip code. My hands were shaking now as I pulled up the phone numbers associated with the applications. And there it was. A phone number I recognized immediately. A number I'd called 100 times. A number that had been in my contacts since I got my first cell phone at 16. My sister Jessica's number. I stared at the screen, reading and rereading that phone number, hoping I was wrong. Hoping it was some kind of mistake or coincidence. But 8 years of training had taught me that in financial crimes, there are no coincidences. Every data point tells a story. And this story was becoming crystal clear. Jessica. My younger sister by 3 years. The one I'd helped through college. The one I'd co-signed an apartment lease for when she was struggling. The one I'd lent money to more times than I could count, never asking for it back. The one who called me last month asking about my salary and whether federal employees got good credit scores. I'd thought it was just casual conversation. I'd even laughed and told her that yes, working for the federal government came with decent benefits and good credit. I'd mentioned that I was thinking about buying a house soon, that I'd been building my credit carefully for years. I'd trusted her with every detail of my financial life because she was my sister. And she'd used every single piece of that information against me. The sun was starting to rise outside my window, but I hadn't moved from my bed. My laptop screen glowed in the dim light, showing me the evidence I didn't want to see. Transaction records. Application timestamps. Digital fingerprints that all pointed to one person. I picked up my phone and scrolled to Jessica's name in my contacts. My finger hovered over the call button. Part of me wanted to call her right then, to scream and demand answers. But the investigator in me knew better. If I tipped her off now, she'd have time to cover her tracks, delete evidence, come up with a story. No. If my own sister was going to commit federal identity theft against me, then she was going to learn exactly what it meant to steal from a federal banking investigator. I didn't sleep for the rest of that night. By the time my alarm went off at 7, I'd already compiled a complete preliminary case file. Every application, every inquiry, every digital footprint Jessica had left behind. It was almost insulting how sloppy she'd been. But then again, she probably thought I'd never notice. Or worse, she thought that even if I did, I wouldn't do anything about it because we're family. She was about to learn how wrong she was. I got to the office early, something that wasn't unusual for me. My colleagues were used to seeing me at my desk before 8, coffee in hand, already deep into case files. What they didn't know was that today, I was working on the most personal case of my career. "Morning, Jen," my partner Marcus said, dropping into the chair across from my desk. "You look like hell. Another late-night case." "Something like that," I muttered, not looking up from my screen. "Anything I can help with?" I paused, considering whether to tell him. Marcus had been my partner for 4 years. He was solid, trustworthy, and had seen me through some of the toughest cases of my career. But this was different. This was family. This was humiliating. "It's personal," I finally said. "But I might need your help soon." He studied my face for a moment, then nodded. "Whenever you're ready." I spent the morning doing what I do best, following the money. Jessica's loan application had included bank statements, supposedly proving her income and ability to repay. But when I pulled those bank records through official channels with proper authorization, the numbers didn't match. She'd doctored the statements, photoshopped the balances, made it look like she had a steady income of $80,000 a year when her real income was less than 30. That alone was bank fraud. Federal bank fraud. The kind that carries a prison sentence. Then I found the employment verification. She'd listed herself as working for a consulting firm that, according to my database searches, didn't exist. The address was a UPS store. The phone number went to a burner cell. She'd created an entire fake company just to verify her fake employment for this loan. My sister wasn't just committing identity theft. She was running a full-scale fraud operation. And she'd chosen me as her victim, probably thinking I was the safest target because family wouldn't prosecute family. I pulled up her social media profiles next. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. What I saw there made my jaw clench. Photos from the past 3 months showed a lifestyle she definitely couldn't afford. Designer handbags, expensive restaurants, a weekend trip to Miami. All of this was being funded by my stolen identity and those smaller credit lines she'd opened in my name. There was a photo from 2 weeks ago that particularly caught my attention. Jessica at a luxury car dealership, standing next to a brand new BMW, caption reading, "Finally treating myself to the life I deserve." Hard work pays off. Hard work. She'd been working hard, all right. Working hard at destroying my credit and committing federal crimes. I screenshotted everything. Every post, every photo, every comment. It all went into the case file. Then I did something I'd done hundreds of times for other victims. I filed an official identity theft report with the Federal Trade Commission. But this time, the victim name on the report was my own. At lunch, I drove to First National Bank. Not as Jennifer Matthews, fraud victim, but as Special Investigator Matthews from the OCC. I had my badge, my credentials, and a very serious conversation to have with their loan department. The branch manager's face went pale when I explained the situation. "Are you saying this $90,000 loan application we were about to approve is fraudulent?" "That's exactly what I'm saying. And I need you to freeze the application immediately and preserve all evidence. This is now part of a federal investigation." Of course. We'll cooperate fully." "I'm so sorry this happened to you, Detective Matthews." "So am I said quietly. "So am I." That evening, I finally did what I'd been putting off all day. I called Jessica. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Hey sis. What's up? This is a nice surprise. You never call in the middle of the week." I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm and professional. "Hey Jess. Got a minute to talk?" "For you?" "Always." "What's going on?" "I got an interesting notification on my phone this morning. About a loan application. For $90,000. The silence that followed was deafening. I could practically hear her brain scrambling for an explanation, for a lie that would make this okay. "Oh? That's weird. Maybe someone's trying to steal your identity? You should look into that. Isn't that kind of thing like your job?" Her laugh was forced, nervous. "Yeah, Jess. It is my job. Which is why I already looked into it. Very thoroughly. Want to know what I found?" I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because the phone number on the application is yours. The IP address traces back to your apartment. And the bank statements, while very creatively edited, show deposits that match exactly with the amounts I've lent you over the past year. You even use the same PDF software that I know you have on your laptop because I helped you install it last Christmas. More silence. Then, quietly, Jen, I can explain. Oh, I'd love to hear this explanation. Please enlighten me. Explain how my own sister, who I've helped countless times, decided that stealing my identity and committing federal bank fraud was a good idea. I was desperate. Her voice cracked, and I could hear tears starting. I'm drowning in debt, Jen. Credit cards, medical bills, student loans. I couldn't breathe anymore. I just needed a break, a chance to get ahead. So you committed identity theft? Against me? Do you have any idea what you've done? I was going to pay it back. I swear. You'd never even know. I'd make all the payments, keep everything current. It wouldn't affect your credit at all. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Jess, do you understand what I do for a living? I investigate financial crimes. This is literally what I do every single day. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Or did you think I wouldn't do anything because we're sisters? I thought. I mean, your family. I didn't think you'd actually. She trailed off, the realization finally hitting her. You didn't think I'd actually what? Press charges? Turn you in? Treat you like the criminal you've become. Please, Jen. Please don't do this. I'll stop. I'll cancel everything. We can fix this. Please. It's already too late, Jessica. You didn't just apply for one loan. I found 3 other accounts you opened in my name. A department store card that's already maxed out. A credit card with a $15,000 balance. You've been systematically destroying my credit for months. And all those times you asked me about my job, my salary, my social security number for family emergency contacts, you were gathering information to commit fraud. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It started small, just one card to help with an emergency, and then things spiraled. I kept thinking I'd be able to pay it back before you noticed. An emergency? Jessica, I saw your Instagram. Miami trips and designer bags aren't emergencies. You weren't desperate. You were greedy. And you chose the one person in your life who could help you, who had helped you, and you stole from her. I could hear her sobbing now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no sisterly compassion. Just cold, professional detachment. What are you going to do? She whispered. What I always do, Jess. My job. I've already filed an official identity theft report. The loan application has been frozen. I've documented everything. And tomorrow, I'm going to finish compiling the evidence and submit it to the appropriate authorities. You're going to have me arrested? Your own sister. You arrested yourself the moment you forged my signature. I'm just doing the paperwork. The next call I received was from my mother at 11 p.m. that same night. Jessica had clearly run straight to her, crying and spinning whatever version of events made her look like the victim. Jennifer Marie Matthews, what is going on? Jessica just called me hysterical, saying you're trying to have her arrested. I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. Hi, Mom. Did Jessica happen to mention why I might be upset with her? She said there was some misunderstanding about a loan application. Surely this can be worked out within the family? Why are you being so harsh? A misunderstanding? I felt my carefully controlled composure starting to crack. Mom, Jessica stole my identity. She opened multiple accounts in my name without my permission. She forged my signature on a $90,000 loan application. That's not a misunderstanding. That's federal identity theft and bank fraud. But she's your sister. Family doesn't send family to jail over money problems. This isn't about money problems, Mom. This is about criminal behavior. If a stranger did this to me, what would you expect me to do? But she's not a stranger. She's your sister. She made a mistake. People make mistakes, Jennifer. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. A mistake is bouncing a check. This was deliberate, planned, and executed over several months. She researched how to do this. She created fake documents. She lied to my face while actively stealing from me. My mother was crying now. Please, honey. Think about what this will do to the family. Your sister could go to prison. She could lose everything. Is that really what you want? What about what I could lose, Mom? My career? My security clearance? My reputation? Do you know what happens to federal investigators who have identity theft on their credit reports? I could lose my job. The job I worked so hard for. The career I've built. Did Jessica think about that when she was forging my signature? She said she was desperate. That she didn't know what else to do. She could have asked me for help. Like she's done a dozen times before. I've lent her money. I've co-signed leases. I've helped her with rent, with car payments, with medical bills. I've been there for her every single time she needed me. And this is how she repays that trust. So you're punishing her for asking for help? No, Mom. I'm holding her accountable for committing a federal crime. There's a difference. The silence stretched between us. Finally, my mother spoke, her voice cold. If you go through with this, if you actually prosecute your own sister, you'll tear this family apart. I hope you can live with that. I can live with it better than I can live with being a victim of identity theft and doing nothing about it. And honestly, Mom, the fact that you're more concerned about protecting Jessica than about what she did to me tells me everything I need to know about where I stand in this family. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. Not from fear or doubt, but from anger. Anger that my own mother was trying to manipulate me into letting this go. Anger that Jessica had put me in this position in the first place. My phone buzzed with text messages. My aunt, asking me to reconsider. My cousin, saying I was overreacting. Jessica's best friend, calling me heartless. Apparently, Jessica had been working the phones, building her narrative, turning the family against me. But then another text came through. This one from my father, who had been divorced from my mother for 10 years. Jen, your mother called me. I heard what happened. I'm sorry you're going through this. You do what you need to do. What Jessica did was wrong, and you have every right to pursue this. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, even when it's hard. Love you. I stared at that message for a long time, feeling the tears I'd been holding back finally start to fall. At least someone understood. At least someone saw that I wasn't the villain in this story. I wiped my eyes and opened my laptop. Time to finish the case file and submit it to the U.S. Attorney's Office. 3 weeks later, I sat in a federal courtroom, watching my sister stand before a judge. She'd been formally charged with identity theft, bank fraud, and falsifying documents. Her public defender stood beside her, looking exhausted. Jessica looked small and scared in her ill-fitting court outfit, nothing like the confident, designer bag-carrying woman from her Instagram posts. The prosecutor laid out the case methodically. Every fraudulent application, every forged signature, every fake document. The evidence was overwhelming. Jessica had no choice but to plead guilty as part of a deal that would keep her out of federal prison, but put her on probation for 5 years, require her to pay full restitution, and saddle her with a felony record. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, Jessica finally looked at me. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Jen. I didn't respond. I just stared straight ahead, my face impassive. The investigator, not the sister. The judge sentenced her to 3 years of supervised probation, 300 hours of community service, and ordered her to pay back every penny she'd stolen, plus damages. She'd also have to attend financial counseling and submit to regular credit monitoring to ensure she wasn't committing fraud again. As she was led out of the courtroom, my mother, who had attended to support Jessica, glared at me with such hatred that it actually hurt. But my father, sitting on my side of the courtroom, squeezed my shoulder supportively. You did the right thing, he said quietly. Did I? I'd won. Justice had been served. My credit was being repaired, the fraudulent accounts were being closed, and Jessica was facing real consequences for her actions. But I'd also lost my relationship with my mother, most of my extended family had stopped speaking to me, and my sister would have a felony record for the rest of her life. 6 months passed. The dust settled. My credit score recovered. Jessica completed her first 100 hours of community service and was making small monthly payments toward her restitution. We hadn't spoken since the courthouse. Then, one Saturday morning, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Jessica's. Inside was a check for $200, more than her minimum payment, and a letter. Dear Jen, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to ever trust me again. I don't even expect you to read this. But I need to say it anyway. You were right about everything. I wasn't desperate. I was entitled. I was jealous. You worked hard, built a career, made smart choices. And instead of doing the same, I took shortcuts. I stole from the one person who'd always been there for me because I thought I deserved what you had without putting in the work. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for a relationship. I just want you to know that I understand now what I did to you. The betrayal. The violation. The absolute destruction of trust. I'm working 2 jobs now to pay you back faster. I'm in therapy. I'm learning to live with the consequences of my choices. And every day, I think about what I lost. Not the money or the credit or the freedom. But you. I lost my sister. The best person in my life. And it's no one's fault but mine. I hope someday you can think of me without anger. You don't have to forgive me. You don't have to forget. But maybe, someday, you can remember that I wasn't always this person. And maybe that's enough. Love always, even though I don't deserve to say it. Jessica. I sat on my couch, reading and rereading that letter. The investigator in me wanted to file it away as evidence of remorse, useful for her probation reports. But the sister in me, the part I'd been suppressing for months, felt something crack in my chest. I wasn't ready to forgive her. Maybe I never would be. But I was ready to acknowledge that she was trying. And in my line of work, where I saw criminals who never showed an ounce of remorse, that actually meant something. I picked up my phone and typed out a text message. Just 3 words. I got it. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. But acknowledgement. And maybe someday that would be enough to start rebuilding what she'd destroyed. But for now, justice had been served. And I could finally sleep at night knowing I'd done the right thing, even when the right thing was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do.